Across the vast Orion sector, the name of Princess Xylarix echoes with reverence and fear. The most beautiful and deadly royal in the galaxy, she commands warships by day and studies forbidden sciences by night. After rejecting 300 suitors in increasingly humiliating trials, her name becomes synonymous with impossibility. The Vexillian Empire trembles as ancient prophecy warns: without a worthy mate, before the triple moons align, extinction awaits their species. Desperate ambassadors whisper of the princess who kills with a glance, whose impossible trials leave princes from powerful species broken or dead. The royal palace of Nexus Prime orbits the gas giant Vexillia like a jeweled crown, its crystal spires stretching 20 kilometers above the atmosphere, breathable only to the royal bloodline. Ordinary beings require atmospheric conversion implants to survive the toxic noble gases that the Vexillians evolved to metabolize. The throne room itself occupies the highest spire, where gravity fluctuates based on the emperor's mood. Today, it presses down with crushing force as he confronts his daughter. Princess Xylarix stands unaffected by the gravitational tantrum, her iridescent scales shifting colors with her carefully controlled emotions. Beneath her ceremonial armor, 13 separate weapons remain concealed, each capable of destroying a small moon. Her eyes, vertical slits of burning amber, regard her father with practiced neutrality. Despite the 200-year age difference, she stands nearly a head taller, her genetic modifications evident in the perfect symmetry of her features. Another suitor lies broken at the foot of the ceremonial dais, this one a Krontan warrior prince whose species conquered 3 systems through sheer evolutionary advantage. Their diamond-hard exoskeletons, previously thought impervious to all conventional weapons, now shattered like common glass around him. Court physicians extract what remains of his consciousness to be shipped home in preservation fluid. Your Highness, the time grows short. High Chancellor Vex approaches, carefully prostrating himself until his ceremonial headpiece touches the polished quantum crystal floor. The celestial alignment approaches in mere cycles. The ancient laws are clear: without a worthy consort, you cannot ascend. To stabilize the imperial genetic line, extinction becomes inevitable. I will not bind myself to weakness for the sake of tradition. Xylarix speaks, her voice harmonizing in 3 separate tonal ranges, simultaneously creating overlapping meanings that only true Vexillians can fully comprehend. The unworthy contaminate our bloodline further with each generation. Our ancestors commanded the stars while we merely drift among them. The Emperor signals and the gravity returns to standard levels, cushioning the fall of several lesser courtiers who lack the enhanced musculature to withstand prolonged exposure. Daughter, the law predates our emergence as sentient beings. The prophecy cannot be denied without consequences beyond imagining. Even your remarkable abilities cannot challenge the fundamental forces that bind our species to its evolutionary path. The great viewing window behind the throne displays the celestial phenomenon, already beginning to form 3 moons of differing compositions entering rare alignment, their gravitational harmonics triggering changes in the Vexillian genome that occur only once every 12,000 years. The window shifts, focus displaying visualizations of genetic degradation charts and models predicting species-wide fertility collapse without the introduction of specific new genetic markers. Xylarix turns away from the display, her clawed hand clenching briefly. Your Majesty requests an audience. The announcer calls breaking protocol by interrupting the royal dispute. The arbiters of galactic commerce have arrived with disturbing news. An unregistered vessel has breached the outer defense perimeter, surviving weapons fire that would destroy most battlecruisers. Images replace the genetic models, showing a small, sleek vessel of unfamiliar design, its hull scorched, but intact as it tumbles through the defensive grid. Antimatter mines detonating harmlessly against some form of energy dispersal technology never before encountered in the sector scans indicate minimal weapons technological emissions, suggesting primitive development, yet its defensive capabilities defy explanation. The princess' attention shifts entirely to the display, her enhanced vision zooming to examine details invisible to others. The unusual configuration suggests atmospheric atmospheric landing capabilities, and the radiation signature indicates a type of propulsion unfamiliar to Imperial scientists. Most intriguing life sign readings show multiple entities with completely foreign biological compositions, consuming simply oxygen, nitrogen, water, and carbon. Her third eyelid slides horizontally across her vision, engaging deeper scanning subroutines. "Bring me this vessel and its occupants alive," the princess commands, overriding her father's authority. For the first time in public, perhaps the universe provides an alternative to your precious prophecies after all. The human exploration vessel Artemis drifts damaged into Vexillian space after surviving a wormhole collapse. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Chen, former theoretical physicist, now diplomat, volunteers to seek help from the notorious Empire. As his crew slowly suffocates in the failing ship, the royal court mocks the small oxygen breather until he accidentally activates an ancient artifact fought in it for millennia. The Emperor sentences him to the trials, claiming only death or victory can atone for touching the sacred relic. Marcus accepts, not understanding that no contestant has survived all 7 trials in 8 centuries. Emergency klaxons blare throughout the Artemis as life support systems flicker dangerously. Commander Chen pulls himself through the flickering gravity well of Deck 3, his uniform torn from emergency repairs, to the quantum stabilizers behind him. 19 crew members lie in medical stasis pods, their life functions slowed to minimal levels to preserve the remaining oxygen. The ship computer displays cascading failure warnings projected directly onto the retinal implants all personnel share. Specialist Dawson, the only other conscious crew member, monitors failing systems, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces, rerouting power from non-essential systems. Marcus, we have maybe 48 hours of breathable air remaining for active personnel. The wormhole collapse fried our navigation systems and comms array were broadcasting on all emergency channels. But Marcus nods, understanding the dire implications, his background in theoretical physics giving him unique insight into their predicament. The wormhole collapse should have completely destroyed the Artemis, yet somehow the experimental shields had partially deflected the gravitational shear at the cost of nearly all ship systems. "Are sensors still functional?" he asks, watching as Dawson pulls up a 3-dimensional star map. "Limited range. Only, but we're definitely in uncharted space." The specialist swipes through sensor readings, showing an inhabited system nearby. Initial scans indicate advanced technology, possibly faster than light capable. The emissions signature matches nothing in our database, but the artificial structures suggest a civilization well beyond our development stage. Marcus studies the readings, his enhanced neural implants processing the data faster than standard human cognition. The atmospheric composition of the populated worlds appears toxic to human biology, but the technological signatures suggest atmospheric processing capabilities. They might have the technology to help repair our ship, or at least provide sanctuary until rescue arrives. "Who wants to make first contact?" he asks with grim humor. 12 hours later, Marcus finds himself alone in the Artemis diplomatic shuttle, approaching the massive crystalline structures, orbiting a swirling gas giant. Behind him, the main ship remains hidden in the shadow of a small moon, its energy signature masked to avoid detection. The diplomatic shuttle broadcasts standard first contact protocols on all frequencies, announcing peaceful intentions and requesting emergency assistance on humanitarian grounds. The shuttle rocks violently as tractor beams lock onto its hull. Automated defense systems activating briefly before Marcus overrides them. Knowing resistance would be fatal, the small craft accelerates toward the massive crystal palace, its velocity and trajectory now under external control. Through the viewport, Marcus witnesses vessels of impossible configuration, their hulls seemingly phasing in and out of normal space as they escort his shuttle toward an opening in the orbital structure. Decontamination procedures scour the shuttle interior with energies that tingle across Marcus' skin. but cause no apparent harm. External sensors indicate the atmosphere outside would be instantly lethal. Without protection, the shuttle systems helpfully suggest a combination of chlorine, noble gases, and metallic compounds that no human could possibly breathe. Armored figures, twice human height, enter the shuttle, their bodies seemingly composed of living crystal and metal rather than flesh. Marcus rises to greet them, his diplomatic training taking over despite the extraordinary circumstances. Universal translation algorithms rapidly decode their communications, revealing a language structure based on mathematical harmonics rather than verbal constructs. The throne room exceeds any human conception of scale or majesty, its crystalline floor revealing the gas giant beneath swirling storms visible through transparent sections, while anti-gravity fields prevent vertigo or disorientation. Hundreds of alien beings observe from tiered seating, their forms varying wildly in configuration, though all possess the characteristic crystalline biology. Marcus stands before entities that clearly represent authority, their ceremonial armor and positioning suggesting hierarchical importance. The universal translator struggles with the complex harmonic language, but manages approximate conversion. Your primitive vessel violated sovereign space. Explain your presence before execution is ordered. The Emperor voice resonates through multiple frequencies simultaneously. Marcus bows, deeply careful to follow first contact protocols designed to appear non-threatening to most known sentient configurations. Your Majesties, I come seeking emergency assistance. Our vessel was damaged in a wormhole collapse. 19 of my crew lie dying. We request temporary sanctuary and technical assistance in exchange for knowledge or trade goods. Our planet Earth would be grateful for your mercy. Laughter ripples through the court, a discordant sound that causes the translation algorithms to glitch momentarily. The smaller being appeals to mercy. The princess states, her voice somehow more complex than the other's musical tones, suggesting multiple layers of meaning beyond the translator's capacity. Observe how it requires oxygen like a simple combustion engine. Marcus maintains diplomatic composure despite the obvious disdain registering in the alien voices, his attention drawn to an unusual artifact displayed prominently near the throne. Its configuration, strangely familiar, reminiscent of theoretical models had developed during his academic career before joining the exploration corps. The mathematical symmetry triggers recognition in his enhanced neural implants. Without conscious thought, he steps forward, hand outstretched toward the object, his scientist's curiosity overriding diplomatic caution. The artifact pulses with sudden light, responding to his proximity. The court erupts in chaos as guards surge forward. The trial of strength pits Marcus against the megalith, a living mountain that grows stronger, feeding off aggression, where powerful warriors exhausted themselves attacking the creature. Marcus observes its crystalline structure, mimics certain earth minerals that dissolve in acidic compounds. He synthesizes a solution from his emergency med kit and common ship supplies no larger than a cup of water. The liquid seeps through the megalith, causing chemical reactions that make it shrink to the size of a pebble. The court gasps as Marcus simply steps over what remains. Princess Silarix narrows her eyes, detecting something beyond simple trickery. The sentencing chamber pulses with ominous energy as Marcus stands surrounded by Vexillian guards, their crystalline armor reflecting fractured light patterns across the chamber walls. The Emperor looms nearly 4 meters tall on an elevated platform, his voice harmonizing across multiple frequencies. Simultaneously, the human has touched the Genesis relic, sealed for 12,000 years. Since our ancestors ascended from primitive form to cosmic awareness, the punishment is death. Marcus observes the Emperor, noting how the crystalline structures embedded within his form pulse with each harmonic word, suggesting a biological rather than technological basis for their communication. Ambassador Chen requests formal explanation of charges and right to diplomatic immunity, he states, maintaining protocol despite the dire situation. The princess moves forward, her movements fluid. Despite the heavy ceremonial armor, the ancient laws are clear. Any being who activates a sacred relic must undergo the trials of worthiness. Execution without opportunity violates the Codex of Ascension. Her triple-toned voice somehow penetrates directly into Marcus' consciousness. Bypassing the translation algorithms entirely, he finds himself understanding her meaning at a level beyond mere language. Guards escort Marcus through crystalline corridors that shift configuration behind them, leading to a massive arena carved from a single asteroid, its surface reinforced with unknown elements that shimmer with contained energies. Thousands of alien spectators observe from floating platforms, their forms varied, yet all possessing some crystalline component. Marcus' neural implants struggle to catalog the biodiversity present. The first trial commences. A massive door arises open, revealing a chamber containing what appears initially to be a small mountain. Its surface, composed of interlocking crystal structures that pulse with internal energy, the megalith approaches, not walking, but flowing across the arena floor, its mass increasing with each movement as it absorbs energy from the environment. Marcus watches recordings projected into the arena, showing previous contestants, armored warriors from species evolved for combat, charging the creature with weapons, energy discharges, and brute strength. Each attack causing the megalith to grow larger and stronger until it crushes the exhausted opponents. The message clear: direct confrontation feeds the creature, making victory impossible. Confined to the arena, with only the contents of his diplomatic emergency kit, Marcus studies the creature from a safe distance, noting how its crystalline structure resembles certain silicon-based compounds found on Earth volcanic regions. His neural implants analyzing probable composition based on light refraction patterns and density measurements. The emergency kit contains standard medical supplies, including compound synthesizers designed to create treatments for unknown alien biologies. Marcus programs the synthesizer, combining citric acid compounds with alkaline solutions, creating a concentrated formula similar to earth cleaners used to dissolve mineral deposits in plumbing systems. The resulting liquid barely fills a small container. Princess Silarix observes from a private viewing platform, her enhanced vision focusing on the human's methodical preparations, noting the complete absence of fear or aggression. Where other species radiated emotional energy that fed the megalith, this creature remains emotionally opaque, yet strangely fascinating in its calm, analytical approach. The crowd roars with derisive laughter as Marcus approaches the massive creature, holding only a small vial. The megalith towers 7 meters high, its crystalline body dwarfing the human as it prepares to crush him. Marcus carefully pours a solution at the creature's base, then steps backward, watching as the liquid seeps into microscopic fractures in the crystal structure. The trial of strength pits Marcus against the megalith, a living mountain that grows stronger, feeding off aggression, where powerful warriors exhausted themselves attacking the creature. Marcus observes its crystalline structure mimics certain earth minerals that dissolve in acidic compounds. He synthesizes a solution from his emergency med kit and common ship supplies, no larger than a cup of water. The liquid seeps through the megalith, causing chemical reactions that make it shrink to the size of a pebble. The court gasps as Marcus simply steps over what remains. Princess Silarix narrows her eyes, detecting something beyond simple trickery. The sentencing chamber pulses with ominous energy as Marcus stands surrounded by Vexillian guards, their crystalline armor reflecting fractured light patterns across the chamber walls. The Emperor looms nearly 4 meters tall on an elevated platform, his voice harmonizing across multiple frequencies. Simultaneously, the human has touched the Genesis relic, sealed for 12,000 years. Since our ancestors ascended from primitive form to cosmic awareness, the punishment is death. Marcus observes the Emperor, noting how the crystalline structures embedded within his form pulse with each harmonic word, suggesting a biological rather than technological basis for their communication. Ambassador Chen requests formal explanation of charges and right to diplomatic immunity, he states, maintaining protocol despite the dire situation. The princess moves forward, her movements fluid. Despite the heavy ceremonial armor, Father, the ancient laws are clear. Any being who activates a sacred relic must undergo the trials of worthiness. Execution without opportunity violates the Codex of Ascension. Her triple-toned voice somehow penetrates directly into Marcus' consciousness, bypassing the translation algorithms entirely. He finds himself understanding her meaning at a level beyond mere language. Guards escort Marcus through crystalline corridors that shift configuration behind them, leading to a massive arena carved from a single asteroid, its surface reinforced with unknown elements that shimmer with contained energies. Thousands of alien spectators observe from floating platforms, their forms varied, yet all possessing some crystalline component. Marcus' neural implants struggle to catalog the biodiversity present. The first trial commences. A massive door arises open, revealing a chamber containing what appears initially to be a small mountain. Its surface composed of interlocking crystal structures that pulse with internal energy. The megalith approaches, not walking, but flowing across the arena floor, its mass increasing with each movement as it absorbs energy from the environment. Marcus watches recordings projected into the arena, showing previous contestants, armored warriors from species evolved for combat, charging the creature with weapons, energy discharges, and brute strength. Each attack causing the megalith to grow larger and stronger until it crushes the exhausted opponents. The message clear: direct confrontation feeds the creature, making victory impossible. Confined to the arena, with only the contents of his diplomatic emergency kit, Marcus studies the creature from a safe distance, noting how its crystalline structure resembles certain silicon-based compounds found on Earth volcanic regions. His neural implants analyzing probable composition based on light refraction patterns and density measurements. The emergency kit contains standard medical supplies, including compound synthesizers designed to create treatments for unknown alien biologies. Marcus programs the synthesizer, combining citric acid compounds with alkaline solutions, creating a concentrated formula similar to earth cleaners used to dissolve mineral deposits in plumbing systems. The resulting liquid barely fills a small container. Princess Silarix observes from a private viewing platform, her enhanced vision focusing on the human's methodical preparations, noting the complete absence of fear or aggression. Where other species radiated emotional energy that fed the megalith, this creature remains emotionally opaque, yet strangely fascinating in its calm, analytical approach. The crowd roars with derisive laughter as Marcus approaches the massive creature holding only a small vial. The megalith towers 7 meters high, its crystalline body dwarfing the human as it prepares to crush him. Marcus carefully pours a solution at the creature's base, then steps backward, watching as the liquid seeps into microscopic fractures in the crystal structure. The trial of endurance traps contestants in the Chronos chamber, where time accelerates, aging most species decades in what feels like hours. Marcus watches his hair gray, his muscles waste, as alien scientists expect him to beg for mercy. Instead, he uses the accelerated time to practice forbidden meditation techniques he glimpsed in the Royal Library, mapping every neural pathway in his mind, achieving in apparent days what takes masters centuries. He emerges physically older but mentally transcendent, having used human adaptability to transform disadvantage into evolution. The princess secretly orders her guards to collect samples of his DNA. Stunned silence fills the arena as the megalith dissolves, shrinking rapidly into itself, chemical reactions cascading through its crystalline structure, until only a small glittering pebble remains where the towering creature once stood. Marcus calmly retrieves the stone, examining it with scientific curiosity before placing it in his pocket. The court erupts in chaotic harmonics, their crystalline bodies resonating with conflicting frequencies. Guards escort Marcus from the arena through shifting corridors that pulse with energy, his translator implant decoding fragments of excited conversations. Impossible, unprecedented, primitive science. The words swirl around him as he maintains diplomatic composure despite exhaustion from the ordeal. The princess observes from a distance, her amber eyes tracking his movements with increased interest. The second trial commences without allowing recovery time. Marcus finds himself sealed within a hexagonal chamber, constructed from material that seems to exist partially outside normal space-time. Senior Vixillian scientists monitor from a control room their instruments calibrated to observe temporal phenomena. The Chronos chamber, the lead scientist announces, begins temporal acceleration in 3-2-1. Reality shifts around Marcus as time itself becomes malleable. His neural implants, initially attempting to compensate before overloading and shutting down to protect his brain from the temporal distortion, he watches with clinical detachment as his hands begin to age, skin wrinkling, muscle mass decreasing at accelerated rates. Biological processes that should take decades occurring in subjective minutes. Previous contestants, shown on monitoring screens, responded with panic, fighting against the inevitable aging process, wasting precious energy in futile resistance. Some begged for mercy as their bodies deteriorated. Others attacked the impervious walls until exhaustion claimed them. The scientists calculating Marcus has approximately 6 hours of subjective time before critical organ failure begins. During his processing upon arrival, Marcus had noticed ancient texts in what appeared to be a royal library, his enhanced memory recalling scrolls depicting meditation techniques allegedly forbidden to non-royal Vixillians. Focusing despite the discomfort of accelerated aging, he assumes the primary position illustrated in the texts, controlling his breathing despite lungs that increasingly struggle inside the temporal distortion. Subjective time stretches what feels like days, passing as Marcus maps his own neural pathways using techniques described in the forbidden texts, his consciousness expanding beyond the deteriorating physical form. Biological aging becomes irrelevant as he achieves states of awareness impossible under normal temporal conditions, each subjective day bringing new insights into the nature of consciousness itself. Princess Silarix arrives unexpectedly in the observation chamber, dismissing junior scientists with a gesture. Her enhanced perception, detecting anomalous readings from the temporal monitors, impossible, she states, observing the human mental activity patterns displayed on quantum screens. The neural complexity should be decreasing with biological deterioration, yet shows exponential growth. What is he doing? The senior scientist adjusts monitoring equipment, confirming readings. Your Highness, he appears to be using the chamber against itself, accelerating mental development proportional to physical decay, implementing techniques remarkably similar to the royal consciousness expansion protocols. Though how a primitive species could conceive of such concepts. The trial of fear forces contestants to face the nightmare engine, a machine that renders terrors solid. No being has ever survived exposure for more than 6 minutes. Marcus confronts visions of earth-burning humanity, forgotten and cosmic horrors beyond comprehension. Rather than retreating, he walks directly into each terror, naming them, dissecting them with scientific curiosity. Where others fled, he studies. The Emperor watches astonished as Marcus reaches the 17-minute mark before the ancient machine overloads, unable to process a mind that embraces fear as data. Princess Silarix, for the first time in 3 centuries, enters the observation chamber personally. Marcus stands in the preparation chamber, his aged body still adjusting to the aftereffects of temporal acceleration. Vixillian medical technicians monitor his vital signs with instruments that hum at frequencies just beyond human hearing, their crystalline appendages manipulating controls with precision that suggests centuries of evolution. The princess approaches her towering form, casting prismatic shadows across the chamber floor. Most fascinating, she states, her harmonics, modulating to accommodate his limited hearing. You transformed a lethal trial into accelerated evolution. The royal scientists have never observed such adaptation. Your primitive brain structure should have collapsed, yet you utilized techniques known only to the royal bloodline. Explain. Marcus meets her gaze directly. The new neural pathways developed in the time chamber, allowing him to perceive subtle variations in her crystalline structure, indicating emotional states invisible to normal human perception. I observed knowledge in your library, applied what I saw to survive. Humans adapt, it's our evolutionary advantage. Where superior strength fails, we find alternatives. The princess circulates closer than protocol, allows her sensory appendages extending to analyze his biochemistry. Without physical contact, the medical technicians retreat respectfully. As she conducts her own examination, the nightmare engine awaits. She informs him her harmonic tones, carrying warning: few survive exposure, our most feared warriors. Broke within minutes, your primitive emotional processing centers lack protection against psychic penetration. Guards escort Marcus through corridors that pulse with warning energy, approaching a chamber constructed from material that absorbs all light, creating a void in reality itself. Ancient glace carved around the entrance pulse with energy that predates Vixilian civilization. The assembled nobles and warriors maintain significant distance. Despite their obvious curiosity, the emperor himself arrives to witness this trial of his presence, indicating the significance of a human reaching the third challenge. Marcus enters the absolute darkness of the chamber, immediately feeling the alien presence of the nightmare engine, a technology so advanced it directly interfaces with consciousness itself. Without requiring physical connection, the darkness recedes, revealing Earth, his home planet, viewed from orbit. Beautiful blue and green against the void of space, the peaceful image distorts, flames spreading across continents, oceans boiling away, atmosphere rupturing as humanity dies, screaming their final moments, broadcast directly into his consciousness with perfect sensory fidelity, the collective death of billions experienced simultaneously. Marcus witnesses everyone he ever loved dying in agony as civilization collapses, Earth becoming barren, lifeless, then forgotten by the universe. Entirely previous contestants fought against the visions, attempting to deny, reject, or overcome them by force of will. Marcus takes a different approach, his enhanced consciousness, analyzing the sensory input with scientific detachment. Fascinating, he thinks, examining how the machine extracts fears directly from subconscious mind. I wonder how it processes emotional responses. He walks directly toward the burning Earth, extending his hand into the representation of planetary destruction, asking questions aloud about the mechanisms behind the projection, the energy requirements to maintain such detailed simulations, the neurological interfaces required to transmit sensory data directly to consciousness. With each analytical question, the image destabilizes slightly. The nightmare engine shifts tactics, summoning cosmic horrors beyond human comprehension, entities that exist beyond dimensional constraints, whose mere appearance should shatter sanity. Instead of retreating, Marcus examines them with scientific curiosity, requesting more detail about their hypothetical biology, evolution patterns, and dimensional characteristics. The machine struggles to generate coherent responses to analytical inquiry where it expected emotional reaction. In the observation chamber, alarms activate as monitoring equipment registers unprecedented activity patterns. The Emperor watches in silence as diagnostic systems warn of potential system failure. Princess Silorix observes intently as Marcus approaches the 17-minute mark, where other contestants barely survived. 6. The nightmare engine, designed to feed on fear, encounters a mind that transforms terror into data, overloading its ancient programming. The trial of wisdom demands solving the unsolvable, the legendary crystal maze, which reconfigures based on the solver's thought patterns, creating infinite variables. Other contestants attacked it with brute calculation or psychic force. Marcus recognizes it as a higher dimensional quantum system, reflecting observer bias. He introduces calculated errors, creating cascade failures that reset the system. He navigates not by solving, but by deliberately unsettling its foundations, showing chaos as the true path to order. The royal engineers document every moment as the human demonstrates mathematical concepts their civilization never conceived. Emergency protocols activate throughout the chamber as the nightmare engine experiences catastrophic feedback loops. Its ancient systems, never designed to process analytical curiosity in place of terror, technicians rush to disconnect power conduits as warning harmonics echo through the structure. Marcus sounds calmly at the center, his aged face showing neither fear nor triumph, merely scientific interest, as the projections collapse around him. The princess approaches directly, ignoring protocol that forbids royal contact with contestants. Her towering crystalline, form-shifting colors that indicate intense emotional states beyond the translator's ability to interpret. 3 trials survived, she states, her harmonic voice penetrating his consciousness. Directly, no being has accomplished this in 8 centuries, yet you show no pride, no aggression, merely curiosity. How do you suppress emotional responses? Marcus considers her question the enhanced neural pathways from the time chamber, allowing deeper introspection than previously possible. I don't suppress emotions, I integrate them. Fear provides data, anger identifies problems, pride blinds objectivity. Emotions serve purpose. When properly channeled, the key is not feeling less but understanding more. Royal guards escort Marcus through a decontamination field that removes residual psychic energy from the nightmare engine. Medical technicians scan his neural patterns, documenting unprecedented activity in regions normally dormant in human brains. The Emperor observes from distance his crystalline structure. The trial of truth places Marcus before the ancient throne of judgment, which reads genetic memory and cultural history. Where other species proudly displayed their accomplishments, the throne broadcasts humanity's darkest moments: wars, genocide, environmental destruction to the royal court, expecting him to defend or deny these truths. Marcus instead acknowledges every horror, owning both the beauty and atrocity of human history with neither pride nor shame. The throne, detecting no deception, declares him the first being in millennia to pass without attempting manipulation. Princess Silarix dismisses her court, studying the human with unsettling intensity. The sacred halls of ancestral judgment remain silent as Marcus approaches the 5th trial, his aged body showing signs of the ordeals endured, yet moving with purpose, born of his transformed consciousness. Royal historians document his progress through the trials, their crystalline appendages recording every detail for archives that span millions of years. Rumors spread through the empire, transmitted via quantum entanglement networks, as billions of exilians across thousands of worlds witness the unprecedented spectacle of a human advancing beyond all expectations. Princess Silarix awaits in the Hall of Judgment, her ceremonial armor replaced with the ancient regalia of the genetic evaluator, a position traditionally reserved for royal bloodline members. Tasked with assessing species worthiness, your accomplishments defy explanation, she states, harmonics resonating with complex emotional frequencies indecipherable to standard translation algorithms. 4 trials survived when our greatest warriors have failed at 2. Explain your species' advantage. Marcus considers the question from multiple perspectives. Simultaneously, he enhanced neural architecture developed during previous trials, allowing complex analysis in microseconds. We have no biological advantages. Your species evolved far beyond human capability in every measurable metric. Our strength comes from acknowledging weakness. Humans know we're insignificant in cosmic scale. Accepting limitation drives innovation, where perfection creates stagnation. The final chamber opens, revealing the ancient throne of judgment, its material predating Vixilian civilization, carved from substances unknown to modern science, glowing with energies that transcend conventional physics. Historical records, displayed on quantum fields, show previous contestants approaching with confidence, presenting their species' achievements, technological developments, territorial conquests, genetic enhancements, all attempting to impress the throne with superiority. The throne possesses consciousness beyond conventional understanding, capable of accessing genetic memory through quantum entanglement, scanning entire species' histories in moments without filters or deception. Marcus approaches as instructed, placing his hand upon the ancient material, immediately feeling connection beyond physical touch, his entire consciousness opening to examination, as the throne accesses not only his personal memories, but human history itself. Massive display fields activate throughout the chamber, broadcasting humanity's darkest moments to the assembled court. Wars spanning centuries, technologies developed for destruction, exploitation of resources, environmental devastation, attempted genocides, the countless horrors humans inflicted upon each other throughout their brief evolutionary history, display without censorship. The court watches, expecting the human to defend, deny, or justify these atrocities, as all species attempt when facing their collective shame. Marcus stands silent before the broadcasts, neither defending nor denying any horror shown, watching with the same objective observation he applied to previous trials. When prompted to explain, he speaks with simple clarity. Yes, we did these things. Humanity contains capacity for terrible destruction alongside remarkable creation. We acknowledge both without denying either. Understanding darkness helps recognize light. Our history includes both shame and pride. We accept responsibility for our past while working toward better future. The throne scans deeper, accessing Marcus' personal history, displaying moments of fear, failure, selfishness. Times he chose expedience over principle, showing his individual flaws alongside humanity's collective failings. Again, Marcus acknowledges each without defense or denial. These experiences shaped my understanding. I learn from mistakes without being defined by them. Personal growth requires honest assessment. Princess Silarix observes the unprecedented response, her enhanced perception detecting the complete absence of deception, manipulation, or selective presentation, where other species carefully crafted narratives to present their best aspects. This human offers unfiltered truth, accepting judgment without attempting to influence outcome. The ancient throne pulses with energies indicating internal processes beyond even royal comprehension. Verification complete. The throne announces in harmonic frequencies that vibrate through the chamber structure, shaking dust from surfaces untouched for millennia. This being presents truth without manipulation, accepting judgment without influence, assessment confirms authentic existence without deception. Fifth trial completed, first successful completion in 12,437 cycles. The assembled court falls into stunned silence, their crystalline structures resonating with harmonic dissonance, indicating collective shock. Princess Silarix approaches Marcus, directly examining him with sensory appendages that assess quantum states beyond human perception. You succeeded where empires failed, she states, harmonics indicating complex emotional responses never before documented in royal archives. Through weakness, you found strength. Through acceptance, discovered worthiness. Prepare for final judgment. The trial of worth, the most devastating challenge, requires contestants to sacrifice what they value most. Marcus faces illusory scenarios of saving either his dying crew or vital diplomatic information that could save billions. The ultimate trolley problem, realizing the test itself enforces a false binary. He refuses both options, rewiring the ancient testing apparatus to transmit his own brainwave patterns into the simulation, proving multiple outcomes exist. The princess breaks ancient protocol by entering the trial chamber, demanding to understand how a species so young could challenge assumptions 10 million years old. Marcus explains humans survived not by being strongest, but by questioning the unquestionable. The imperial palace vibrates with harmonic frequencies as news spreads throughout the Vexillian Empire. A human has survived 5 trials, unprecedented in recorded history. Noble houses activate ancient contingency protocols, their crystalline war vessels moving into defensive formations around core worlds. The emperor convenes emergency council as royal seers predict fundamental shifts in probability matrices that have remained stable for millions of years. Marcus rests in preparation chamber, his transformed consciousness processing multiple levels of reality simultaneously, while his aged physical form recovers from the ordeal's attendants, provide nutrients calibrated for human biology synthesized from imperial molecular databases. Princess Silarix enters alone, dismissing all guards and monitoring systems, her crystalline structure shifting through color patterns, indicating emotional states never before recorded in imperial archives. 5 trials survived, she states, harmonic tones modulated to frequencies comfortable for human hearing. Our greatest warriors failed at 2, our most brilliant minds. At 3, you succeeded through methods we never conceived. What motivates your species to persist against impossible odds when superior life forms have accepted defeat? Marcus considers the question from multiple perspectives, the neural enhancements from previous trials allowing complex philosophical analysis in microscopes. Perhaps our biological limitations are advantages. We know we're mortal, fragile, temporary. Accepting these truths forces innovation, where species believing themselves superior become trapped in stagnation. The constraints of mortality drive human creativity, Knowing our time is limited, we seek meaning through accomplishment. The princess circulates closer, her sensory appendages extending to analyze his quantum state. Without physical contact, the final trial begins. She explains no contestant has ever reached this stage in living memory. The trial of worth will test not your abilities, but your fundamental nature. As sentient being, our ancient records suggest humans possess unusual moral structures inconsistent with evolutionary advantage. Explain how your species resolves ethical conflicts. Before Marcus can respond, quantum displacement fields activate, transporting into a chamber. Unlike any previous trial, its walls, constructed from materials that appear partially phased outside normal reality, senior scientists monitor from protected enclosures their crystalline structures, reinforced against the chamber's reality-altering properties inside multiple scenarios, unfold simultaneously, created from Marcus' own memories and knowledge. The primary scenario crystallizes, showing the Artemis his dying crew in stasis pods, their life support failing, oxygen levels critical. Beside this appears vital diplomatic information, revealing imminent conflict between major galactic powers. Data that could prevent billions of deaths across hundreds of worlds. The simulation offers clear binary choice: save either his crew or transmit information, saving billions, but sacrificing his people. Previous contestants, shown in historical recordings, chose based on numerical advantage, sacrificing few to save many, projecting logical calculation as moral superiority. The ancient testing system expects similar response, evaluating worth through mathematical ethics. Marcus studies the scenario, recognizing the underlying assumptions. The false binary choice itself represents flawed thinking. Marcus approaches the simulation control interface, his enhanced consciousness, perceiving operational protocols invisible to normal perception. Rather than choosing either option, he begins reprogramming the ancient system, transmitting his own brainwave patterns directly into the simulation, demonstrating that multiple outcomes remain possible. Quantum uncertainty allows simultaneous saving of both through precisely calculated intervention. The final trial, never before reached, requires the princess herself to judge the contestant worthy, as assassination attempts, multiply, and imperial houses threaten civil war. Marcus proposes not marriage, but partnership, challenging her to imagine power through cooperation rather than dominance. The princess reveals her species faces evolutionary stagnation, requiring genetic diversity. Her impossible trials sought not a husband, but a species worthy of genetic and cultural integration. With the ancient Vexillians, humans become the catalyst for a new hybrid civilization. Their adaptability and creativity merging with Vexillian technology and lifespan. As the triple moons align, Marcus and Zilorix forge an alliance that reshapes galactic power structures, proving that humans' greatest evolutionary advantage was never strength or intelligence, but their capacity to transform limitations into revolutions. Alarms blare throughout the testing facility as reality stabilization fields struggle to contain the paradoxical solutions. Marcus introduces into the ancient system. Senior engineers rush to prevent catastrophic quantum cascade failure as the simulation incorporates his brainwave patterns, unfolding new possibilities that exceed programmed parameters. Princess Silurix bypasses security protocols, entering the active chamber. Despite warnings of potential molecular destabilization, her crystalline form shimmering with protective fields. Enough, she commands harmonic frequencies, overriding simulation protocols. The testing environment dissolves around them, returning to baseline reality. Marcus stands before her, his aged physical form showing signs of the ordeal, yet his consciousness radiating awareness beyond normal human limitations. 6 trials completed, she states, her voice resonating with harmonics, indicating emotional complexity beyond translation algorithms. No being has accomplished this in the entire existence of our empire. How did you perceive solutions where superior minds found none? Marcus considers her question from multiple dimensions. Simultaneously, I questioned the assumptions embedded in each trial. Where others accepted parameters as fixed reality, I recognized them as constructs, artificial limitations, imposing unnecessary constraints. Your species evolved beyond biological limitations. but became trapped in cognitive ones. Humans still struggle against nature itself. Our thinking remains adaptable by necessity. The Imperial Council Chamber fills with representatives from noble houses, their crystalline forms vibrating with harmonic dissonance, indicating intense disagreement. The Emperor presides from ancestral throne, his massive form pulsing with energies at silence dissent. Ancient law requires recognition of any being who completes all trials as worthy consort, yet many houses reject the possibility of human genetic contribution, claiming biological incompatibility with royal lineage. Assassination attempts multiply as Marcus transitions between secure facilities, Imperial guards discovering sabotage devices, quantum destabilization fields, and molecular disruptors planted by conservative factions desperate to prevent human influence in royal bloodlines. The princess herself neutralizes 3 separate attacks, her combat capabilities revealing evolutionary advantages beyond anything in human experience. In private audience chamber, Princess Silorix reveals the truth behind the impossible trials. Our species reached evolutionary plateau 10 million years ago. She explains harmonic tones modulated for human comprehension. Despite technological advancement, biological stagnation threatens our existence. Genetic diversity decreased with each generation. The trials sought not merely consort, but species worthy of integration, capable of introducing new evolutionary pathways. Marcus contemplates implications. Understanding the full scope of Vexillian intentions, you need human adaptability, creativity to overcome evolutionary stagnation. The princess confirms her crystalline structure, shifting to colors, indicating agreement. Our technology allows genetic integration beyond traditional biological constraints, but requires willing partnership between species. As the prophesied celestial alignment approaches, Marcus addresses Imperial Council, proposing unprecedented solution, not marriage, but partnership. Humans offer adaptability, creativity, vision, while Vexillians provide technology, longevity, knowledge. True strength emerges through cooperation, each species contributing unique evolutionary advantages, creating something greater than either alone. The triple moons align precisely as ancient prophecy foretold, but instead of traditional genetic bonding ceremony, Marcus and Silorix establish new protocol witnessed by representatives from both civilizations. Human adaptability merging with Vexillian technology, creating pathway for new hybrid species, combining the best aspects of both. Revolutionary partnerships spreads throughout galaxy, transforming power structures as humanity demonstrates its greatest evolutionary advantage, not physical strength or superior intelligence, but capacity to transform perceived limitations into unexpected revolutions.